All right, it has come the day when we have the Mectrons. Um, Everyone is talking about it. So, as the Times in here, the ruinous cost of U.S. security underlies Harry and Meghan's return from the Times and the Sunday Times. And everybody's talking about it. So I thought, from Maxit to Mectrons. So, to Mectrons or not to Mectrons is what everyone is. That is the question. It came close to a very good speech. I heard. I don't want to annoy sometimes somebody's ego because even though I really love to admire, I really love to celebrate. That's a very character trait from heaven to celebrate one another constantly in a constant sheer of cheers. Hands off! Hands off, hands off. The surprise decision by Harry and Meghan to return to live in the UK spells more trouble for the monarchy. Oh, it's freedom of expression, right? Freedom of expression. Sometimes we need to feel, are we being victorious now because we're returning? Everyone was right. Family matters, and the business with the royal family. I guess you would think to. I've listened to very interesting talks. Um, I must say that I really love to celebrate the speech of this person. But he might know whom he is, as he was talking about the duty. You know, so as H.G. Tudor would say, it's not all shiny and glitter and gold and show. You know, there is a lot of hard work. Sometimes having to do things that, as any job, you know, takes a toll on yourself sometimes, as every job, as going to school. It's part of the routine. And whatever you are within the royal family or in the outskirts, as Princess Diana of Wales was, she's representing herself in her orbit. Um, which was at the time also controversial. So stories about royalty has always been talk talk to talk, from village to village, from every culture from around the world. And in Europe, that I know, we have theater that will go in caravans, and this theater was not a circus, maybe eventually evolved, but with animals and other. There was a theater that will go from with caravans from town to town, But they generally would go from court to court. They would have one theater show, a recommendation, of course, from court to court. They would have one theater for the royal court and another for the peasants in the village. And that was more like a parody. So, always respecting the king, but having all these people around that are just what people can do for money, power, such a things as fame. One thing is to protect yourself from people that have um, like me, not so straightforward backgrounds or from that belong to your own clan or culture. And they would make parodies from what they would have seen when they were acting another play. Art is always has always been celebrated. It's only in this generation that artist has become rich and wealthy. But in the old times, just to be near the royalty, that was good enough. So they would make their money from town to town as well. And those parodies sometimes would become royal gossips. Yeah, that would also go from court to court. There has been always known that we have some courts were lucky enough to have a harlequin that would make people laugh and would insult everyone. Not the king or the bloodline. The people around the court will tell their secrets to the harlequin because they would always think he's a nobody in the court and had no access to the king. Normally it would be a dwarf, somebody small or for some reason not very appealing to make the king up. Yeah, so you compare and is speaking in behalf with all the freedom to say atrocities about everyone and sort of like in a crazy manner. And that's what I have adopted to myself as a character trait, among others, at the beginning. I was very happy when Meghan and Harry got married. It's their private life. In Asia, you have stories that are more related with a spiritual master and a king. And in Europe, you have some like wise kings who have sent noblemen in a caste to whom will marry their daughter, or the brothers stories. Also in Asia, to see who has the wisdom to take care of the people. So they will also send them on a quest to see who was, who was, who of his sons have the quality to take care of his kingdom, his legacy, and all his work. So, oh, To some extent, I find it a little bit cruel, and it makes people talk. It's like the greatest publicity you can have is the one that goes from mouth to mouth. Of course, you will have noticed that is to compensate from what happened with the brother of the king, Andrew, on the Epstein files. So, of course, we can talk about it again and again. But they had a beautiful fresh start. Of my belief, nobody is ready to go into the royal family in this world, and you unless you've been raised as a royal. And it doesn't matter if you were married 10 years or 15 or 20, there is something in your background that does not understand what is to welcome a new member and have the patience to nourish and to not have comparisons. So it does affect the public domain as well, what happens from one side to the other. But it's not all true. No one will say, sorry, I've done this actually. They will hide once to. But after all, that is what family does. They forgive each other. H.G. Tudor is teaching to have boundaries. I've always forgiving is because love is more important. That's why I lost everything always without having boundaries. And my mother would say, if you don't trust, you might have nothing. But that's how you make business. You have to trust. People are deceptive. People have flaws. If you want to make business, you got to understand the limitations of people, and it's part of life. But in this world, not everyone is like maybe my mother or your mother. My father was not very good with numbers. That's something my mother said. He is not very good with administration because he has too much of a big heart. So he wants to employ 13 people, not having the understanding that there's no income to, but he doesn't have the heart to fire people. So that's how he lost his cinema school. And there are some people that are good with administration for that reason. Not because you're a cold hearted person, but you have a balance that can see that that's a logical answer. But sometimes the ego that people make you feel important around you. So you want everyone around you. What he said was very important. Uh, Prince William, Prince William would welcome his brother and forgive him as a brother, but as a heir to the throne, He can't, because these patterns happen again and again. Mm. He's still complaining and blaming without seeing the pattern. He has not seen the pattern, and Megan has not said sorry, you know? And this is something that comes from a past life. This is something where all this story comes from this life, but it's a pattern from a past life. Why he's been giving a seat to be the heir and a king? Because there was Megan has gossip to ruin his life. Now, one thing is that you have married and your husband is having an affair, many affairs. But another thing is the you want to ruin another person. I am a witness to that. To believe that a person is evil beyond your own reality and imagination. And what is justice and justified for you because you want to be married, because of the power of woman. But another thing is to go bickering all around to destroy the person you had loved. That was the person you had loved. So you're incompetent to make your love transcend, to transform. Um, this is a lesson to learn from. This is a lesson to learn. How does it feel on your behalf to be treated in that way when you have no insight at all to reflect? And this is for everyone as well in the generation of freedom of expression. So that was Jacob Rees-Mogg. What harm could the Sussex do? That was in response to his other video. Are the Sussex welcome back? So he mentioned something like that is the question. In a Shakespearean tone. So I thought, oh, to make trends or to not make trends? That is the question he meant. Of course, I would love him to be the Prime Minister of United Kingdom. Nothing against Andy Burnham, but it is a pleasure to listen to him, his currents. He's not very much for the people, but he has to stand to what is being a conservative on the rights for the rich. That's what makes him be admired on that ground. So what is the you are making a lot of publicity for United States between United Kingdom. So it creates a beautiful story where people come in and can express themselves. It is also healing for the Black community, even though Megan is one quarter Black. But some people feel closer to her, of course, even though she has cut her nose and thin her hair and done everything to not be as rounded as normally Black people love to be. They love to be voluptuous. It's part of the heritage of being meaty. So you have skin to grow up because they have corpulent bodies and need stability in the act. So she has betrayed part of his family as well, just to feel more exclusive. So, but still has taken uh, care of her mother and the sympathy and love of her mother that perhaps she missed. I welcome them as one person among millions. Let's say there is a collective energy and there is space and room for everyone on this planet Earth. So it doesn't matter really if you welcome them or not. Don't really wish to see bickering and but people have the freedom to express. Uh, it's also good for the Black community. They check within their blackness and the, but not everyone is the same because you're Black. So where's your identity? Where's your soul? Where's your personality really? So imagine if I have to uh, take take it personal, what every Spanish person does or South American or Latin, how they call them in United States. So I said, well, yeah, that's part of me, part of my culture. You don't need to be very profound to understand something that is very basic. Yeah. So I need to talk sometimes in a very simple tone. So your mind expands without the reason to say, oh, this word, oh, and that word, oh. I'm very grateful to my work in the store and the head office that has over 101 stores around UK. I'm very grateful that I do believe in hierarchy. I do believe in authority. I do believe in your inner authority and mine. So I was raised to feel the inner authority of the other as well and shout and go crazy on dynamic meditation until I felt it. But I was as educated and unpaired to be connected to my emotions because as much education you have, you're disconnected from your own emotional fields. And I'm a person who's been always dancing, just dancing and making love. That's all. That was and study just because I like to study. Not that I wanted to be a filmmaker, but I had to. And it was something on internet online from the times I was in India with Osho, 3 years sitting in silence. And my mother would say, "Well, you're not going to school, but let's come to the discourse. That's part of your studies." He would have discourse in the morning and in the evening. And some months he will be in silence, sometimes for 6 months or 2 years. And he would just sometimes come to just be in silence, dancing and sitting in silence. So when he passed away and I was 17, I would just dance. I wouldn't be making love with people because I felt it was a lower energy. It's like they want something from you. They're not on their own fulfillment to have a sincere, pure, celebrated, transparent, and generous total. So I found was dirty. They just wanted it physical. It was like a needy thing. So it's not. I also died, so there was a very pure, beautiful energy. And the moment he died, he always asked to celebrate death and dance. If you can transform death, you can transform anything, which is sorrow and mourning. I was too young, with 17 years old, to feel sorry because somebody died. People invested their work, gave up their families. Some brought their families, but left the business, everything. Some lost their inheritance because of going with a philosopher in India, which that's what he studied and became professor in the university. He was a university professor of philosophy that would go from university to university in India doing uh, counter dialogues with other professors. And as many people exist in this world. You can love the church and what happened in the Bible and still enjoy Jesus, what he gave until the end. But my husband had a car accident and he was in a coma for 2 weeks or so, and I had to go to the psychiatrist for 9 years because he would speak as Jesus in first person. So the Ministry of Children in Canada thought I was lying when I called them and asked for help because I taught him how to act, like have his private, because in this world not everybody can understand that. So for me it was very beautiful to take care of something that it felt right for me because I also needed a break in life. And yes, could go in the underworld of society, giving birth with no money, or just lose my any social relationship or social status, knowing how people are for money, and nobody can help you in that situation, right? They could help you if you're alone, maybe, and you're working for free for somebody if you're pregnant, but you're gone. So I thought, well, I will just, I'll be there if he needs. Spain can help me, and I need a break from life, and it's nice to have children and relax. But I had to deal with all these social workers. The psychiatrist was great. They are always high class when it comes to understanding the unknown, because he was very grateful when he came to the sessions with another doctor, psychiatrist. Um, there is only one person out of 10 families, one family out of 10 families that take care unconditionally, because people want reason and they go crazy against people who have been vulnerable with a car accident, for example. You cannot bring reason to these things, right? So he would say things like, I will sit on my throne. When people were waiting for Jesus in the 2012, there was a date, so I was very tired. 2 years. Um, you have to understand, he went with a hooker who gave him drugs and alcohol. So, wanted to take my children away from me and lied about me. So, he would leave me alone with the kids and say that God wants for him and it's God's will. So that's the way he would take everything from us. And I had to strive to bring milk or so he used me to live his free life, right? So he had many women. So something, as long as you don't hurt me. But after him, I had a boyfriend. We were very happy and loyal, and that was very nice. He was addict of he was an addict, so he could allow my freedom to be a role player. But that's what I thought. So I like men that are not really after social conventions, because they have a quality of freedom that's close to unacceptable, because they reflect what I love most. That is freedom and playfulness. And they would do things I wouldn't dare. So I admire them for that. So I don't know. I would not. I don't really admire taking people's money, or if you have newborn, things like that. Leaving the hospital. I was hungry after giving birth, and he just took the money to drink in the plaza and celebrate. So I was starving after giving birth and giving milk. So you can take it as you wish. That was my life. That was what I chose, to get away from my mother. So I thought, well, what's the difference from one to the other? I thought, well, one is new. I knew he will destroy my life, and it was perfect. So I don't return because I was not capable. All right. So I'm not saying I'm good because you might think, oh yeah, I'm a good person. But you're creating all this odyssey, all this war, fucking with water nymphs in an island and forgetting about your wife, with sirens and a goddess, and then uh, making your wife like if he's the only one that loves you, kind of like returning back 9 years later. You're like, you're right. This is the movies that people put so much money to watch. And the guy is a hero, a wise hero. Hey, you gotta really look at all the sides of the story. So I had to recover to look Jesus like people see Jesus. I could not look at Jesus anymore as I used to after having to. But we had a very good times because who doesn't love Jesus, right? So I thought, hey, this is great. Because I would tell social worker and psychiatrist. 'Cause I'm a little bit. I like sometimes to shock people. Like, yeah, you're so square and boring. This have this crazy story, but it's like I sometimes felt like I'm like the blonde girl from the Adams family, and I will just explain myself through them, right? Because I could be very polite explaining what's crazy. Does not mean I live through that. I love crazy stories. I love crazy life. I find real life a prayer. I don't like my life. I have to listen to the neighbors. Uh, I don't like this house at all. I'm paranoid. Things are missing, or they just give the entrance to strangers without me knowing. Because they just send a message when I'm at work and do it on the same day. So now the person knows the code to enter. It's not comfortable to recover my kids. So in Canada, he said that I was taking the medication his mother was taking, that she had schizophrenia. And they believe him. They say I was an immigrant who wanted to live from the welfare of Canada and made up all those stories about him. And he also said that I was jealous of his girlfriend. So the Ministry of Children didn't believe me. I said, I have trust in him so many times. And he would do it again. But it's not, it's to steal your money and deceitful. Or have women coming violently to me many times in Ibiza. So it's not a person that's just having his fun and his freedom. It's a person that's triangulating. You don't need to do that to have fun. Yeah. So one came physically attacking me, and other ones verbally. Here, I give you back your Jesus. And I thought, like you don't have compassion. You're just using him for his body or your Jesus fantasy. I didn't. I wouldn't say anything because I was pregnant. Uh, two times, but it was not easy. I would walk many hours to bring him food in a cave or in a occupied house that he would have occupied. So understanding irrationality, he needed to heal. I worked when I was 17, just dancing. When my mother lost everything, she lived 5 years with all the money she had left and sending us to boarding school in England and going to Argentina. She sold the house, and with that, we lived 1 year in India and in Ibiza very well. In a very, I mean, going to restaurants every day, and it's just life, you know. I have maintained my family, my sister and my mother. My father was in Venezuela. So when I was 17 and I saw my mother recover, so I thought he would as well. But as the psychiatrist said, you never know. So it is really relating with the unknown and loving somebody unconsciously, unconditionally, unconsciously. If you are aware, you wouldn't do that, of course. But I was aware before coming to life to take care of his ego, because you can be reborn and be fighting for some story that people made up out of you, and you can take the story with you or borrow it. But what is your story when it comes to say, look, I am sorry? You don't have to say it, but just be sincere. At my work, the head office in Scotland has sacked the manager of my store and the regional manager. So I'm humbled, you know. Sometimes I still want to be fighting because there are people that are left there that still want to destroy my work. And every time I come, it just shouts again. Yeah. From because this person is gossiping. So it continues. This pattern continues. And I continue trying to protect myself. So having to display this happening again is like I am the rude person because I've been reporting thievery and misconduct. So you cannot talk nowadays with freedom of expression when you have people that are conspiring against you constantly in the back. So this woman has done this to the other manager who sued the company, and is she left the job, and that's why I came to work before all this happened, so I had nothing to do. And this woman has done this again behind the scenes, poisoning the manager. So people find their rights to do evil to compensate from their own lack of relation with the reality. They carry problems from the past that are still present today and capable of doing anything for anyone, just for themselves. So ruin people to have more days of work. Well, life is to be celebrated, right? So, well, I like listening to S.G. Anderson. He's an astrologer and he's very soft and mild and he just waves talking. So he was just talking here about burn at the stake, Mars, retrograde, Jupiter, and the South Node in Leo. It's interesting because he goes and looks back at history when did this happen, the research that he does. He's very free minded and gets to talk about his personal life as well, what he likes to study. He's just diving into the cinema, Odyssey, and there's nobody there around him to judge him. And he's just sharing with people that like to click on it and watch his video. End of story. And he speaks a little bit like this as well. I love to listen to Adam Ellenbass as well. He also has this very positive vibe. Well, everybody sees Johnny Patry and the astrology podcast, which I said to my daughter is the best in the world of astrology, if not the best. He's very analytical and rational and has a little sense of comedy a bit when he talks but keeps his uh, self straight. And I was very happy that my daughter, uh, both my daughters, they love to be an alchemist. So just watching this generation with freedom of expression and how many people have been burnt for speaking their truth. Yeah. How many people have been killed for speaking their truth. Uh, Things that, you know, we get obsessed about, right? We will get through all this to see how is the universal value happening. The values of human rights and the values of the tariffs are being played from Donald Trump to make him win. I must support Donald Trump because he's the current president of United States. Of course, I can support everyone as well as everyone does to finish the system of corruption so we can see with transparency where all the money of the government goes and what people really do that work in government with our own noting. We note it. There are different systems to do that. Of course, I love watching H.G. Tudor, knowing the narcissist ultra. So that's perhaps the one I always. And he's very current with the news characters that are being talked most and always showing us about narcissism and psychopathy. But we all have narcissism or narcissistic traits, and some that are not might be corrupted to be abused again and again. So it shares the same polarity. The cover is the construct. Yeah. So we are studying all these things together as we learn from each other. He has the most beautiful voice. Um, yeah, it's funny the false self and the fraud, how narcissism manufactures credentials, plagiarism, and the perfect cover story. That's a theme from that H.G. Tudor has made from this guy that killed himself and was found in the university for being a fraudster. So this all happened when they took the manager out because she was a fraudster. I didn't even want to give the address of my house, well knowing a fraudulent person as a manager. It is sad because when you can see the pathology where it comes from, and I cannot be a therapist or a healing, and I have limited empathy to certain people that do things with premeditation and allegory to hurt other people. I'm not against criminals to some extent, but if you're hurting people, like really, if you're stealing, if you're lying, well, I don't care. I know truth, but I'm beyond truth. Also, I don't take it that seriously. It does matter what is what. It's just boring for, I just would love to be with my family and just role playing after giving the rules of role play and how the formula works in the multiverse. That's the only reason I'm here, besides being part of world peace and a system where we have taken it over to have the responsibility of our flux, the part of our currency, with anyone having to vent our reality for their behalf. So, well, it is very sad that this person killed himself because he was living this fantasy. And I could see that with my manager. I would just tell to someone, I would say, she's just living in her own la la land. And she would be constructing all this and make believe. She would not manage and just think of how would she steal to hide all these things. That's all the things she would do. And the lies, the disgusting behavior. Wow, that was intense. I only because I have to recover my children and and prove a stable job. I had to keep keep there. So it's been a lesson to learn to be unwillingly in places I would never be. Just to recover my kids and prove that I'm not just flowing like the wind, which is unstable for the Ministry of Children to recover your kids, because you have to give them stability and prove some points. I do believe that King Charles is gonna have to go to some point because uh, I don't want to be against the king, but we don't really know who is Charles. If he's doing all these manipulations that his mother did to his life, but he's not really being an honest, loving father or to his nation. Only because he wants his reputation. So we don't really don't know who is Charles. If he's really a true loving man, if he really loves his freedom and the freedom of his generation, if was he really aware of what happened with all these children that were abused. Of course I know what happened to my sister. I'm a big sister as well. I moved away from my family because I couldn't help it anymore. But she's never hurt anyone. Yeah, just not what I wish for her to be. But there is freedom, so she was an adult and oh, allow all my work to be auto-destroyed. 'Cause we used to work together, so something is left, and there is love as well. They didn't do much to me that is bad. They just use all the money. Yeah, of my 14 years of work. But they're my family, so you forgive them. But I left. I left. All right. So that's how family business work. You're working for the tribe, and that's it. You cannot, you know, you might be helped one time, two times, three times, but when they see that you are with a person that's taking all the money and not giving it back again and again and using it for alternative selfish behaviors that has nothing to do like a crazy person do. Yeah, like making a barbecue with strangers, 500 euros just gone when it was to six, just like that, again and again. And government has to understand that when women have are pregnant or have babies and small children that need to be dressed and taken care, women become biologically needy and delusional with men that are dangerous. Many women that are pregnant have been mistreated because now women are codependent. It's not the free woman. So they forgive a lot just because of a biological need to keep a family together. That's totally insane. Um, I don't love freedom, and I'd rather be with a. But I also have to create myself. I cannot be anything alive for too long if one has to regenerate again and again. And I know most of you don't care about my private life or anyone's life, not even to reflect on those in need. Perhaps you are in that position for those in need, not to create more hatred because people are frustrated because they're just looking at you, not doing anything with their lives. That should be illegal. The Unless you're in virtual reality or doing something with the tech globe map. But look how long is this going? The money and publicity is being placed on Harry and Meghan. Nothing is being placed for influencers and the tech globe map to start right now from around the world. They talk about justice with immigrants, but there's nothing being given to countries in need to create mansions into villages. So they learn to reciprocate to their own accountability and learn what is to recognize what they have, to take uh, stock. So you know, Meghan and Harry are very good looking couple. Harry has been loved all his life, so people still have this goofy feeling for him, or worry or concern. But it's been put on people's imagination and in our brains. So we are living a collective of a royal family. So I leave you there in suspense. What's gonna happen next? Like a royal soap opera. So that's their own script to do. They must think they are creating all this popularity for the royal family while they're being talked bad about as, oh, we're martyrs, but we're serving the monarchy anyways, because you know, you're a prince and I'm your wife, and such a beautiful wedding that all the world has seen. So people are envious and they have their inner storyline. That's for you to create impact. So then there is this woman, like Ben Shapiro says, ladies, get your shit together. Some woman supporting this mother that murdered all her children, and that postpartum, and like, wow. Oh, Bill Hammer has a t-shirt of I Love Ben, and he show it 4 days ago. Bill Maher agrees with me again. That's funny. So I have to look at that one. I mean, it's fun. You have that sort of like that's so it's so much fun to look at what's going on, and of course it's addictive. Scandins owns, of course, and I never miss Tucker Carlson. In my store, I love. We have 2 floors. We have 4 floors actually. One is the office, and the other one is the stock. I call it in the dungeons. So in the upper floor, we sell the shirts the Tucker Carlson uses. Um, it's really cool. Well, it's like I cannot find the name of this person. They're talking about him, but everybody knows this professor in Cambridge. They're talking about him, but not really naming him. And so I'm very sorry because sometimes you gotta make your own fantasy to live life. I know what is that. I do it to myself to cope with a normal job where people have I really honor the working people. They're so noble to come early in the morning and start with a fresh day to keep up with the society that we serve one another. So I really love to see the people that do that and be part of the working class. But there's also hostilities where people are afraid to talk. But you can feel also the love, like the family forgiveness, and you know the line when you have some inside humor because somebody's doing like this or this kind of that. I do not accept anyone to talk bad about anyone unless they're doing something bad on purpose to get advantage. And that's simply unacceptable in your inner circle where you work. You could sometimes use these people because they will always be there to help you because they think you use them and they use you because of the way they think. But it's not. I have to have pain here. So my second daughter, Alice, wants to study massage. So I'm gonna send her a picture of when I used to do massage. But that is great that she can have a license. But it is good that everyone learns massage to do for one another and be able to understand the body, what you feel, how you create this, and have consciousness with the touch. Sometimes without nearly not moving at all. And she wants to study Reiki as well. And it's incredible because it's very hard for me to talk with them. I've only spoken once with her in nearly 7 years. So my first daughter is talking with them all the time. I just send them letters and gifts. With good luck, I might have more work to do. Whatever. Maybe I get a job from Venezuela. I would love to, of course, have a better job to any source of income that makes me deliver to also take care of my life as I like it and my children. See my mother, be with her, be grateful. I just go in silence and think of her, that we are in that state of silence together where we used to meditate in the meditation center she created. There was also a school of massage and belly dancing place, a place where we had dynamic meditation every day before the sunrise. Um, it's beautiful to live like that. So I'm sorry I could have not covered much for my children. So it's interesting to see how, if you are capable of having that cover up for your family, what is wrong with you to not have achieved that cover up, why I have become so corrupted with myself and my children have suffered from that. So I thought to make a lot of money with what I would do on my free time. That's role play. And well, there wars of hackers have been there all the time, so it's nothing new for 20 years. Now, my daughter is 17 and Zane is 15. And Debbie, my first daughter, is 32. I am 52 years old. And there's still a long life as to see these people online. There are many people, many more people I see that really like. Brett Cooper doesn't want to talk about politics. She's so much fun and very bright and very, very bright. It's just kind of like untasteful to have Harry and Meghan all the time in your face. So yeah, they all talk about and so so yeah, it's all right. Thank you so much for everything and enjoy life. All right, bye bye. Bye.